Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertiser SportChat Podcast. It's a week where Rotherham all but mathematically secured their championship survival with a 4-0 win against relegation rivals MK Dons. Joining me around the table to discuss it is Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Hello.
And news editor Michael Upton.
Morning. 4-0 win, eh? You can see that again, can't you?
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
It is something to savour, isn't it, Dave? And Neil Warnock and the players certainly did that on the pitch after the game with the fans.
Yeah, they did with the fans tucked up in the rafters with the pigeons. I mean, if MK Dons had tried any harder to get the Rotherham Spurs out of the way, they'd have struggled. But I mean, it was astonishingly straightforward and easy for a relegation 6-pointer. I mean, no one could have seen 4 goals in it, to be honest. But Rotherham got early lead, didn't they, through Matt Derbyshire, and then Dons had one chance, but then the shoulders just dropped.
Were it a case of MK Dons rolled over and capitulated, or were it a case that Rotherham were dominant and on the ball and really authoritative?
A bit of both, probably more of the latter, to be honest. I mean, Rotherham were switched on all the park, disciplined, knew their jobs, to stifle their attacks. I mean, they play a passing game, don't they, MK Dons? You need confidence to do that, and their confidence at the moment is shot. And I think after the second goal, the penalty from Best, Rotherham never really looked in any danger.
Michael, 9 points clear now over MK Dons with 5 games remaining. It's all but sealed. How much of an achievement is it compared to last year when Rotherham stayed in the Championship? Does this one better that for you?
I think it does, because things were so grim. I think if you think back to last year, we were always just out of the bottom 3. Only towards the very end was there a little bit of a flirtation with it. You just want to think about the enormity of the task. It's a 14-point swing from 5 points behind to 9 points ahead. It's just unbelievable over such a short period. Referring to Saturday's game, all the key moments went Rotherham's way. It's like they've not had the rub of the green quite a lot at the start, even of the Neil Warnock era. I hope it is an era, not just a little bit of a honeymoon period. But I think they earned it. I think Grant Ward's pace made that first goal, didn't it? It was lucky it came back to Derbyshire, but he was in the right place at the right time. The second goal, how clever was Richard Wood winning that penalty? The cross and the finish for that third goal was outstanding.
That's Joe Newell's quality, isn't it? That's what he can bring.
And much the way I rate Richie Smallwood, I think if he tried that again 500 times, catching it with that bit of his shin into that top corner, he'll never do that again, will he? So they've earned it, and I'm glad that they were able to relax a bit. It wasn't tense going into that game. They had all the form in their favour, and looks like we can maybe relax a bit now. Dave,
were it a typical Warnock performance? Because I know that he said something after the game along the lines of he's happy with the clean sheet as with the 4 goals. Were Rotherham just as aware of defending as what they were attacking? Because the scoreline insinuates that they were going gung-ho and shots all over the place.
I mean, they're a well-oiled machine now. It's been here 2 months. I think everyone knows what they're doing. Unchanged again on Saturday. They've got that settlement. They've got the same players in the same positions. I mean, even when Fretlington went off, Newell came on. They kept the game to their shape. So, they all know what they're doing. I mean, MK Dons clubbed the bar in the second half. Camp had to make a decent save, but their pressure was all in pockets, and Rotherham looked in control.
So, from your point of view, then, obviously a huge win in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture. Are Rotherham safe? Can we get the champagne out?
Well, it's never over till it's over, is it? I mean, 46 points is the same total, am I right, that we got last season. I can't even see MK Dons getting to 46 points. So
that's a yes then?
It's a yes. I mean,
I will get it out, you Dave.
Err on caution, yeah. But, as good as. But what we don't want to see now is the Millers fall off the line, do we? We want to see them drive on, preferably get a win and 2 in the next couple of games, and let's all celebrate.
Michael, how important is it that Rotherham do just that and end the season strongly as well? I mean, there's a danger of the flip-flops coming out, isn't there? But how important is it going into next season that they really do end this one as well as possible and finish as high as possible? Because there's a couple of teams above who can be caught.
I don't think that there's any danger of that with Neil Warnock in charge. I don't think he'll let them take the foot off the gas at all. I think, ironically, all season we've been looking up the table at the top teams and thinking actually those are the teams that have a chance of getting the points again. But with the form, and actually a couple of recent wins against lower sides, for example MK, I think you look at the next 2 games at Forest and Huddersfield, I believe, and level on points, they're well capable of overtaking them, and actually going into these games and thinking on our form we should be beating these.
Yeah, there's no one to fear now, is there? I mean now that that cloud of relegation has departed slightly, and the form and confidence that Rotherham have got, they can go into every game confident, can't they? They can go into every game thinking that they can get something from it.
Absolutely, they've taken the best on. Beating Middlesbrough, beating Wednesday, drawn with Derby. I mean, just looking down the remaining opponents: Nottingham Forest safe, Blackburn safe, Huddersfield safe, Hull. They might be settling for a playoff place with time rather than lock up there on the final day. So, these aren't sides fighting tooth and nail. So, there's every chance we can pick up a decent points total and top 50. You
talk about the flip-flops. I mean, I think you could say that teams like Huddersfield and Forest have been guilty of that for the last few weeks. And
Forest are dropping like a stone,
I think if anyone's going to get sucked into it, it's going to be teams losing matches, teams that have lost focus. And I think you have to say that about those two sides. Yeah. If MK are going to be able to catch anyone, then it may well be the teams in poor form and who've maybe taken their eye off the ball.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't see Neil Warnock side doing that. One interesting note about Saturday was it was interesting to see a couple of guys who maybe been on the fringes or missed out a bit. Earlier in the season, we were talking about Joe Newell as being a potential player of the year, and he only got on Saturday because of he broke his injury, didn't he? And a rare cameo from Jerome Thomas too. It was interesting to see that coming about.
I mean, just put a different slant on these remaining games as well. I mean, there's a lot of contracts up this season. There's a lot of work to be done with this squad and moulding a new squad, and players are playing for contracts as well. That's in the mind. Is Warnock still going to be here? Is he going to have gone? But Neil, has said to me that he will have a say on the retain list. Come what may, obviously, he's been the man in charge. So plenty still for the players to play for.
In terms of the Warnock situation, which may be. Obviously, it's been well documented that he's only here to the end of the season, and they'll sit down afterwards and talk about all that sort of stuff. Do you think they sit down and talk about it once they're mathematically safe, even if that's with 2-3 games left, or do you think they'll still wait till the end of the season, all the games are done?
There might be more informal discussions, maybe just in passing, but I would imagine it'll be right at the season's end. Maybe in the final week of the season, something like that. But I would have thought then, that's when the serious talk will take place.
Because obviously, Michael, the sooner they get it tied up, whether it's confirmed that he's going to be staying or leaving, either way, the sooner the players know that, the board know that, the fans know that, the better, surely, for preparations for next season.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because I think if you start, we've talked a couple of minutes ago about getting the flip-flops out, if you start thinking about next season before the season's finished, and that gets to the players, then maybe they might relax a bit. I think he'll want them to play to their ultimate at every game without the distraction of his own situation. I think he's right, actually, to say we'll leave it to the end of the season. I think if he'd been appointed on a short-term contract and there was a chance that we thought that he might be interested, then that might be a bit of a distraction. There might be a bit of uncertainty, but there's actually certainty in the uncertainty here, because they're saying at the end of the season, then we're going to talk about it. Everyone can focus on what happens until May, and then they can sit down and make those decisions. You've talked about players' contracts as well, Joe. I think people need to be playing at their hardest to the end of the season, regardless of who the manager might be, because let's face it, they might be playing to convince a Kevin Blackwell, who, if he's going to be staying on, and we think he probably will, that they're worth being in the plans for next season.
Right, let's have a little look forward then. Next up, it's Nottingham Forest at the New York Stadium on Saturday. Like we've just said, dropping like a stone, Dave. Nottingham Forest, flip-flop seemingly on and worn in. Rotherham can win this game, can't they?
They can. I mean, we'll have to go back a long, long way in the record books since Rotherham United finished above Nottingham Forest, and that's not inconceivable, is it? Now we're just a point behind, so we could take them above. I mean, Forest instability, swapping and changing managers, and another Premier League team, falling on hard times. They've never really looked like getting back, have they, to top flight? So, it's a chance.
One or two rumours in the press as well that Mr. Warnock could rock up at Nottingham Forest next season. Heard comments from him over the weekend saying that he turned down the job there once before or something like that.
Right, I mean, when Neil's doing as well as he's doing, it's like anything. We had this with Steve Evans, didn't we? Clubs are going to be mentioned, they're going to be in contact, but I suppose, now survival's assured, nearly assured, I suppose.
In inverted commas.
He's going to turn to this, isn't it? It's going to turn back to Neil, but I'm sure he'll keep running straight back on it, saying, look, we'll talk about this at the end of the season.
What's your prediction for Saturday, Dave?
I'm bubbling with confidence. I'm going to go 2-0.
Oh! As George Baldock of MK Don said earlier in the season, remember, they're not Real Madrid, they're only Rotherham United.
Well, prove them wrong.
looking at Saturday's game, we've talked about managerial uncertainty or certainty. I mean, Forest situation's unbelievable. Rumours of the manager having his team picked by the chairman, which is denying. He's only been there 5 minutes himself. He's been undermined already. I mean, that's got to get through to the players, even if they weren't already on the beach. Home crowd, I think you're going to be looking at a little bit of a jitter here and there, and on the defensive side of things, I think we could be looking at more defensive solidity from Rotherham. Matt Derbyshire to continue his unbelievable recent form, and I think Dave's probably about right. But I reckon Forest might nick one. I'm going to go for 2-1.
And a party atmosphere, Dave, at the New York?
Should be. I mean, we can't mathematically do it, can we, this week?
No.
It's going to be Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's when, when there might be celebs up on the balcony.
The
We'll see.
inflatable bananas will be coming out.
Yeah.
Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and thank you for your predictions. If you want to join in with anything we've said, you can by tweeting at RodTiserSport. We also welcome your predictions as well. Make sure you sign up for the match, free in your inbox every Monday afternoon, looking back at the match that has just passed, and make sure you pick up your Rotherham Advertiser every Friday, previewing Saturday's match, as well as all the news, interviews with the people who matter. Thank you very much for listening.